My name's Emily, and this is Samantha, and we're wedding planners here in Las Vegas for wedding. Okay. Your foot's touching me. Now we're going to assume that you have your guest list and your budget together. So now we can start talking about finding a wedding venue and choosing your date. Notice how I said these things together? It's because they go hand in hand. My best advice is to come up with a few options as far as your wedding date goes before you find a venue. That way your options are open.
And something to think about when you're choosing your wedding date is, depending on where you're getting married, there are those prime wedding months that get booked far in advance. For example, here in Las Vegas, April,
Spring and fall.
whew, insanity. Same with like September, October, even into November. Those fall months here in Vegas are gorgeous. So is April, even into May, I'd say.
Yep.
You know, but then if you're on the East Coast, June weddings are the month. So
Summer in California.
yeah, it's just something you really need to think about based on where you're planning on having your wedding. If, you know, I wanted an October wedding, good luck getting one for this year. I would have to be planning for 2020 at this
On a Saturday at least.
For sure.
So basically having your options open as far as your wedding date goes, maybe saying October in general and not having a specific Saturday picked out or a specific wedding date picked out, that's really gonna help you in the long run getting the venue of your choice. So you kind of have to think about what's more important, a specific wedding date or having the wedding venue that you want. I think we're starting to see a lot more midweek weddings and even Friday and Sunday weddings. Also, a lot of times venues will offer you discounts if you do decide to get married at the venue midweek or not on a Saturday.
Especially for a destination wedding, something to think about, you know, being in Vegas, if your guests are traveling, they're gonna do like a Wednesday to Sunday or a Thursday to Sunday. So having that Friday wedding is actually nice, because you have the wedding on Friday, that still gives you that Saturday to see everybody, have a pool day, you know, plan a brunch or something where you, just in case you don't get to go to every table that Friday night at your wedding and you were like, oh gosh, I didn't get to talk to Aunt so-and-so. You have that extra day after where everyone can come and you can chat with them and not feel rushed on your wedding day to make sure that you see everybody, thank everybody. It gives you that extra day to do what you want with your family and friends.
Make it a weekend.
Totally.
Here are a few tips to keep in mind when you are sourcing a wedding venue.
Number one.
Email is usually the best way to reach out to a venue, especially during busy wedding season. You can try calling, but a lot of times they're gonna have a difficult time getting back to you right away on the phone. So email them, ask them for availability, ask them for a brochure.
Anything that they can give you, you know, when it comes to your guest count or anything. You know, if you're at those all-inclusive venues, they have those certain packages that they can send to you. But even the casinos here, they're gonna give you a food and beverage minimum for that date that you're interested in.
Absolutely.
So it's just important for you to, like we've said from the beginning, have your budget, have your number of guests, because then once you start reaching out to those venues, you're gonna have the answers that they're looking for.
One thing that you want to keep in mind when you are reaching out to the venues for information, you want to ask for hard numbers. A lot of times the venues are going to give you food and beverage minimums, and that's going to be the cost of basically just the food and beverage that you have to spend. That's not including tax, gratuity, any additional fees. Ask them for hard numbers. That way, when you're comparing venue to venue, you can compare apples to apples, not apples to oranges. You want to have hard numbers to look at, and that way there's no surprises down the road and you're going, oh my gosh, I didn't expect all of that. So make sure to ask the venue coordinators for what it's going to cost all in with your food and beverage minimum, taxes, everything included.
Something also to look at when you're booking a venue is what's included, not only with food and beverage. You know, you want to see, are tables and chairs included? Are the ceremony chairs included? What if they're not the chairs that you want?
Linens.
Yeah, linens, napkins. You know, all of those are those outside costs that can sneak up on you that you're not thinking about. Especially nowadays with Pinterest. I think brides get this certain idea of a wedding that they want, which is fine. But, you know, I always joke like a Pinterest dream on a beer budget in a weird way, because you might have all these ideas, but when it comes to budget, things add up quickly. Even when it comes to chairs, you know, Shafari chairs are gorgeous, but they might be $8 to $10 per chair. If you're at 100 guests, you're looking at a big cost right there just for your chairs alone. So it's really important when you're, you know, going around shopping at different venues, you get a list of exactly what's included when it comes to the linens, the chairs, the napkins, you know, is it the poly material? What if you want to upgrade the linens? How much is it? Would it be better for you to outsource it from a different company and bring it in?
And then some venues offer more than other
Totally.
venues. That's why you
Yeah.
want to get have clear expectations on exactly what you're getting from that venue. So site fees from one venue could be different than what's included at a different venue site fee. So
Right.
maybe one you just get black and white linen as a choice, and then the other venue is going to give you a choice of whatever you want, and you get upgraded chairs. So you definitely want to ask what you're getting before you sign the contract, so you can compare apples to apples. Venues often charge site fees. Site fees are basically what they're charging for the rental of the space, what you get with the rental of the space. Do you get a water station? Do you get linens? Do you get chairs? What sort of tables do you get? Things like that are all included in the site fee. Usually, once your food and beverage minimums are given to you by the venue, those are pretty set prices. You're not going to be able to negotiate the price of the cost of the wine or the cost of what a prime rib costs, but site fees can often be negotiated, and that's something that you want to talk to your wedding planner about before you sign a contract with the venue, because a lot of times they'll bring down the site fee, especially if it's on an off day or maybe an off month. I definitely highly recommend asking the venue if the site fee is flexible. If they say the site fee is not flexible, sometimes you can kind of ask them to throw in an upgrade. Throw in an upgraded chair, throw in an upgraded linen, throw in a dessert bar, some s'mores bar, things like that can often be negotiated before you sign a contract.
Something that comes up a lot with venues is they might be able to have multiple weddings going on in one night. Not necessarily in the same room, don't get crazy, but they might have, you know, 2 or 3 different ballrooms, which is totally fine. But you want to get very clear expectations of what you're able to do on your wedding night, you know, especially if
How often you can set up.
Right, because some, you know, if they have the room booked that day, you might not be able to get in until an hour or 2 before your ceremony. And depending on what floral arrangements you have, you know, any extra decor, that might not be enough time. So that's definitely something that you have to think about, especially in those prime months in October. These venues want to try and get as many weddings as possible because it is that busiest month.
Yeah.
So if they're having a daytime wedding and you're that nighttime wedding, you want to get very clear, you know, direction as to what time you're able to come in, what's expected.
Before you
know,
sign a contract.
even a bridal suite, when is it available to me? You know, do I have to get ready off site and then just show up, which is fine for some brides, but you definitely don't want to be thrown that a week before your wedding.
Yeah, I think sometimes too we've seen at venues where there's multiple weddings going on, not in the same space but at the same venue, and then they see the other bride walking by and they're like, what the heck, I didn't know that was gonna be happening. So I think as long as you talk with your planner, talk with the venue ahead of time and make sure the expectations are clear, there should be no problems.
And most of the time, venues are very upfront and they will say
Yeah.
there's going to be multiple weddings going on, you know. And I think the more honest they are, the better, because then, of course, there's no surprises leading up to the wedding. From the very beginning, you just want to have that rapport with the venue that you choose, where it's that upfront honesty. You know, if you have a question, you can call and ask. And I think it's really important to have that.
Yeah, a lot of times when clients are signing a contract, I will make sure and discuss setup times with the venue before they sign the contract, because a lot of times clients will contract the room and contract the venue before they come to us, and they've only contracted from 3 p.m. to midnight. Well, if you have an extensive setup, I mean, we've had setups that take 3 days, a week. Yeah. So if you are planning on, you have these big dreams as far as decor and setup goes, that often cannot be done in a few hours. So we need that extra time, and that has to be contracted from the very beginning, or they may book something else in the space.
So after you've, you know, had that initial email or phone call, you definitely want to set up, you know, a site visit and a walkthrough. And I think from the moment you walk in, you're gonna know. You're gonna get that feeling whether this is one of your top options or you won't. But it's super important, you know, even if you're from out of state and you have a friend go check out the venue, get on FaceTime. You know, that's what it's there for. You know?
We even FaceTime clients that live out of
Totally.
town because they can't make it to do site tours.
Right, and that's what we're there for. We'll show up, you know, I want to see the room one more time. We'll call the venue, we'll head down there when it's available and show it to them. I just think it's super important for you to see it at least once before your wedding. You know, whether it's in person, on FaceTime, something. So again, nothing is surprising you the day of.
Yeah. One more thing that I want to talk about before you sign a contract with a venue is you have to be comfortable with a backup option. A lot of times our couples want to do an outdoor ceremony and they don't think about, well, what if there's wind? What if there's rain? What if there's inclement weather? What is the backup option? You definitely want to think about those things before you sign a contract, because if you hate your backup option, you're gonna be miserable on your wedding day if there is inclement weather.
Right. And I think nowadays, social media is a huge part of everything. But pictures can also be very deceiving. So, you know, you might find your dream venue on Instagram or Facebook or, you know, the Knot Wedding Wire. There's so many different things. But pictures, like I said,
Yeah. Styled pictures.
it's hard. Exactly. They're styled a certain way for a reason, so you do fall in love. And again, that's all extra costs that you might not want to spend, whether it's the draping, whether it's, you know, certain floral arrangements. Flowers get expensive, so you might see this picture and say, that's my dream, I want that. But then when it comes to it,
You haven't seen the walls, what they really look
you
like, that
have
they
a
need to be
blank-
covered.
Yeah, you
lighting.
have a blank space that you have to turn into that dream, which is totally doable, but you also need to see that room at its bare bones.
Right. Another mistake that I see clients make when they're signing a contract with a venue is not looking over your contract. If you've had a conversation with a venue coordinator, I've had this happen so many times, a client will go, oh, well, they said they would do this. If it's not listed in your contract, you can pretty much just assume it's not gonna happen.
Totally.
Ask the venue if there will be any other weddings on site on your wedding day. Look over your contract or have your wedding planner look over your contract before you sign it.
Ask your venue for the hard numbers. What's everything that's included and what's going to be the final price?
Be flexible with your wedding date.